Have you ever just caught a whiff of smoke in the air and thought, oh, somebody's barbecuing, and wondered, burgers, chicken, ribs? Well, in today's episode of What If We Smoked It, we're going to learn exactly why you shouldn't bother trying to assume when it's my smoker that's running. Come back in a moment and I'm going to show you exactly what we're making today. So in today's episode of What If We Smoked It, we are going to do something completely unexpected. We're going to try making a Pavlova. And this is going to require that I use some actual baking skill because I can't just buy a packaged one. For those that don't know, a Pavlova is a meringue treat made out of whipped egg white that is slowly baked in an oven, or in this case, a pellet smoker, to create a hard shell on the inside and a very chewy, almost marshmallow-like meringue on the inside. So before you guys start coming at me in the comments, yes, I am going to be using a recipe. I will be referring to it from time to time. I've never made a Pavlova in an oven, let alone in a smoker. So this is very experimental for me. It's going to be experimental for you. Hopefully it works, and we get to see what it's like. So for this, we're going to need 4 room temperature egg whites, 200 grams or 1 cup of caster sugar or fine sugar. Now, if you're like me and you have no idea what caster sugar was, it's a finer sugar than a granulated sugar. It's going to allow the sugar to melt into the meringue a little bit better and not create any wet spots. If you don't have any, then just like myself, I had to throw this in a blender and just blitz it for a couple of seconds just to break up those granules. You're also going to need some vanilla for flavoring, cream of tartar. Cream of tartar is an acid that's going to go ahead and help keep the meringue bound and keep it from deflating. Vinegar is also going to help do the same thing. And yeah, that's it right now. So we're going to get started on this. I'm going to show you how to separate the eggs and get going. So the easiest way that I find to separate an egg is just go ahead and crack it on a surface. We're going to open it up over the yolks just in case you get any shell, as I did. This way it doesn't fall into your meringue. What you're going to do is you're going to finish opening and you're going to let the whites go in. Keep the yolk on one side. Oh, we're about to lose our yolk. We have to be certain that we don't get any of that yolk in there. Any fat in this is going to go ahead and ruin that whole thing. And there you have it. 4 egg whites. So now we're going to start whipping the egg whites on medium speed until they're foamy. And then we're going to add our cream of tartar. Now this is just around 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon. What this is going to do is this is an acid that's going to help stabilize the egg white foam, making it a little bit stronger and preventing it from collapsing. It's going to lead to a fluffier, better Pavlova. We're just going to let that go for a few minutes until we have some soft peaks. So as you can see, they're starting to get quite foamy. We're going to go ahead and 1 tablespoon or so at a time, we're going to go ahead and add the fine sugar. You need the fine sugar to dissolve in completely. So you're just going to do it very, very slowly. This should take a few minutes for you to complete this process. You can see that these are already starting to look quite glossy. Watch this. So we're going to continue to let the mixer do what it does, and we're going to whip these until we have what are called stiff peaks. I will show you exactly what that means when we get to that point. So we're getting very close to the finish of the meringue. I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of vinegar. Much like the cream of tartar, this is an acid. This is just going to help further stabilize the meringue a little bit more. It won't affect the flavor. Now we're going to turn the speed up and let it continue to work. So you can see that these are starting to get very, very firm. I'm going to just add a little bit of flavor to the meringue. So now we're adding just about a capful of vanilla. Vanilla is one of those things, my daughter and I always say, you measure with your heart. Okay. So we are now at that point where we definitely have some stiff peaks. We're going to go ahead and take a look. Those are definitely stiff. Just a bit of a better visual, so you can see here, this is what we refer to as stiff peaks. You can see that they stand up completely on their own. So if you're ever not 100% sure that your sugar is fully incorporated in, one thing that you can do is you can take a little dab of it with your finger and just rub it together. If that feels nice and smooth and you don't feel any granules of sugar, then you've done just fine. So I've already prepared my parchment on my baking sheet. What I've done is I've drawn a circle, just basically traced the cake pan. We're going to put the drawn side down. Now, to help keep this from blowing around in the oven, what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of our meringue and we're going to use it like just a dab of glue. Now we're going to do our best to spoon this out into a circle here. You want to be gentle with it because you don't want to deflate any of your meringue. Whoever said you had to make it into a circle? I wonder if there's any rules that say you couldn't do a square if you wanted to. You can see how much this makes. Like, this is only 4 egg whites and the sugar. If you've seen my prior videos, you'll note that decorating is not my strong suit. When I did the smoked cake, the icing was rudimentary at best. We're going to try and flatten this down to a circle. Try and make it even. And then you're going to create a little bit of a well on the inside. This is where the toppings are going to sit. We're going to go over the requirements for the topping shortly after this. Once I get this in there, we're going to get started on the toppings. But you're basically just going to scrape a little, kind of move it towards the sides. You can get as fancy with this decorating as you want to. So I'm just going to go with a very rustic Pavlova. This is going to go into the smoker. Now, the information that I found said that we should start our smoker at about 225 to 250 and then turn it up to 300 about halfway through. That way we can impart as much smoke flavor as humanly possible. So that's what I'm going to do. So now that our smoker is preheated, we're going to go ahead and add our Pavlova to it. We're going to let this go for about half an hour. And then we're going to turn we're going to turn the smoker up to 300 degrees and let it go for about another half hour to 45 minutes. So now that we have our Pavlova in the smoker, just to explain exactly what's going on, the reason we're cooking it at a lower temperature than you would with most things is you're really not looking to cook it as much as you're looking to almost dehydrate it. You're looking to evaporate the water out of those egg whites so that they firm and crisp up a little bit. And you want enough heat, though, so that the inside still cooks, because you don't want to be eating raw eggs. And that's going to be what gives you that marshmallowy interior. So while that's doing that, let's get started on our whipping cream. So to make the whipped cream, I have 2 cups of whipping cream. This is full fat, 35% whipping cream. Be very careful when whipping this. You do not want to over whip, because if you do, you end up with butter. So pro tip, buy a 1 liter container instead of a 500 milliliter container. That way, if you do end up with butter, you can just use the other half to start again. Now we're going to start this a little more towards a medium high. That way we're not splashing everything around too hard. And then we're going to turn it up as it starts to get firmer. We can go ahead and add our vanilla. As I said before, vanilla is one of those ingredients you don't measure, you add it with your heart. That is my daughter's rule. Fun fact, adding vanilla to your whipping cream actually turns it into what's considered a chantilly cream and not a whipped cream. Then we're going to add about 2 to 4 tablespoons of confectioner's sugar or powdered sugar. It's entirely up to you how much you use. How sweet do you want it? Now, Another tip is if you don't have this in the house, you can take your regular granulated sugar and just blast it in the blender until it becomes a fine powder. If you take a look here, you will see that the whipping cream is starting to thicken. So we're going to go ahead and turn it up a little bit higher. Keep a close eye on it. You do not want to make butter. So that whipped cream looks done enough for me. There. You can see here we have a nice just whipped cream, not butter. So I'm just going to go ahead and scrape this into my bowl. We're going to use it later when the pavlova is done. I just like to have this all completed so that when everything's done, I'm not scrambling to get the toppings ready. Again, try to be gentle with this. You don't want to beat the air out of it. So now that that's done, let's get this out of the way and we'll get started on our berries. So the berries by far are the easiest part. Cut the top off and then slice. As thick or as thin as you like. It's your dessert. So it's been about a half an hour. We're going to go ahead, we're going to turn up this heat to 300. And I just want to take a quick peek and see how this looks. You see a little browning around the edges. It does seem to be drying up nicely. We're going to close it up and let it go for about another half hour, 45 minutes. Okay, so the whipped cream and the strawberries are chilling in the fridge right now. We've got about another 30 to 45 minutes until the pavlova is finished its cooking process. Then it needs the cooling process. What we're going to do for the cooling process is we're going to turn the heat off completely on the smoker and just let it gradually cool itself down. The pavlova is going to stay inside so it cools slowly. It's very important that the pavlova cools slowly because if it does not, it'll get shocked and it'll actually end up cracking and potentially deflating. So it's now about 45 minutes and our pavlova is ready to enter the cooling stage. Come take a look with me real quick. We'll see how it looks. And after that, we can't open it again. We have to let it complete the cooling process without interruption. So here it is, one final look at our pavlova. It's flattened a little bit. It's quite brown. It's definitely dry to the touch. So we're going to shut this off. Let it cool for as long as we possibly can. The longer you let this cool in the smoker, the better it's going to be for you. I'm probably going to let it go for at least 3 hours. They do say if you can let it go overnight, that would be great, but that's not really an option. Okay, so it has been a few hours. Our pavlova should be fully cool by now. Let's get it out, get it cut, and see how it tastes. Very minimal cracking. Doesn't really smell like anything. So you can see it did sink a little bit in the middle. Nothing too crazy. So I do see we ended up with some spreading and definitely some deflating. And I don't know how much of that is normal because, again, I've never made one of these before. So this is my first time. But we're going to decorate this. We're going to cut into it and see how it is. So decorating, you're basically just going to plop on a bunch of this whipped cream. As much as you want, as little as you want. Oh, you can hear that. You hear that? Sounds crispy. That looks like about enough for me. Save some of that leftover whipped cream for fresh berries later. And then we're just going to pile our berries on top. No rhyme or reason. Just put them in. We've already discussed my lack of decorating abilities. So I ran quickly and grabbed an extra mic. I want you to hear this when I cut into this. That was loud. So there you have it, our strawberry whipped cream pavlova. First time making one. Might even be actually my first time having one. I can't be 100%. Let's go ahead and give it a taste and see what we think. That is delicious. I might need to hold back on how long I cook it for. It's a little chewier than a marshmallow, but it's like halfway between a marshmallow and a nougat. It's really good. I am catching some of that smoke though this time. Probably because of the length of time it was in there and the temperature it was in there for. That's probably what's giving us that great smoke flavor. I can't wait till my wife tries this because this is her favorite dessert. This is great. Guys, I'd love to see you try this. If you do, let me know in the comments below. 100%, please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to make it grow as big as I can. Working very hard at trying to get better at editing, better equipment for better video. So please subscribe to this channel. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.